PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever your flavor of Six Flags theme park is, because there's so many flavors, I don't know. You say, what are you talking? Well, so in the U.S., there's a chain of theme parks or a brand of theme parks called Six Flags. This is not supported by, this episode just has some Six Flags content in there. So I'm way off topic already. But however many flags your theme park flies, maybe I should have said that. It's time for Sleep With Me. If you're confused, you say, what does flying flags have to do? I say, I don't know. That's a great question. It's time for Sleep With Me, a podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. Sleep. The whole purpose of Sleep With Me is not just to put you to sleep, but to let you know that you're not alone in the deep, dark night, to keep you company in the deep, dark night. And I have to ask you, do you feel less alone in the deep, dark night because of the show? And if you say yes, can you do me a favor and either support the show right now or set a reminder in your phone? Can you take a minute or two? And if you're in a position where you can afford to support the show at $5, $10, or $20 a month, or support it annually and save a little bit of money on your subscription, please don't wait. Set a reminder right now and just ask yourself, does the podcast put me to sleep on a regular basis, or does it make me feel less alone in the deep, dark night? Is the show there for me? Because if you're in a position to support the show, if you can afford to, and that resonates with you, I need you to support the show. I got to get through to this percentage of people that are willing to support the show and can afford to support the show, but are kind of stuck. Either you're falling asleep or you're just kind of like a couple people that signed up for listeners said, hey, just remind everybody over and over again, set a reminder right now in your phone. Tell your smart speaker, tell your phone, remind me tomorrow at 9 a.m. to go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron and sign up for the show. That not only puts me to sleep, but makes me less alone in the deep, dark night. That keeps me company because I want it to be there. And I want to be there because I've heard from a lot of people that can't afford to support the show and some people that are just unwilling to do it. But I know the majority of people are out there, and I just got to get through a small percentage of you. That's it. It's a hard task, believe it or not, I guess because the show puts you to sleep. So please take that action. Even if you decide not to support the show, set a reminder anyway and say, hey, this show does keep me company in the deep, dark night. And then go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. But sign up and support the show. I don't want you to miss out on subscriber summer, but I don't want us to get to a point where the show cuts back or the show stops coming out just because I didn't reach out and make it clear enough who I'm trying to get a hold of. I'm only trying to get a hold of a small percentage of people that are listening to the show, and you're one of them. If you're not along, you say, hey, yeah, I use this show on a regular basis. I can't afford $10 a month, or I could cancel something, and I just needed that reminder to make a reminder. So make a reminder right now. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, or if you want to support a show on Apple Podcasts, sleepwithmepodcast.com/Apple. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep. Get over to helixsleep.com/sleep and take the 2-minute quiz to get matched with a mattress. Now, I do have a bit of mattress FOMO. I have the Helix Dusk Luxe, but Helix has a new high-end collection called Helix Elite. And Helix has harnessed their years of extensive mattress expertise to bring their customers an elevated sleep experience. The Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences. And that sounds amazing, but I don't know, think about the bed you're in right now. You probably should have FOMO for the bed I'm sleeping in. I took the 2-minute quiz at helixsleep.com/sleep. I got matched with the Helix Dusk, and I picked the Dusk Luxe because I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach, I want to sleep cool. And that mattress fits my needs, right? And Helix is an amazing company to work with. Helix supports military, first responders, teachers, and students by giving them a special discount on site. You take that quiz, you find out what's going to be the best mattress for you. You don't got to go to a store, lie on a bunch of mattresses while somebody's watching you, asking you a bunch of questions. And with Helix, you could order the mattress online. You get easy, no-contact delivery. But you already know by taking that Helix quiz, the mattress is going to fit you and your needs, or you and your partner's needs. Take that quiz together, and that way you find the perfect mattress for you. And if you don't want to take my word for it, support. Helix has over 12,000 five-star reviews, but by supporting Helix, you're supporting me and the show as well, and your good night's sleep. So go get a Helix and thank me later for your best night's sleep. And get this, Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for Sleep With Me listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. This is their best offer yet. It won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for that Deep Dark United Supporter Zone. These are the people that keep the podcast free for everybody else. And I'm always recruiting people for the Deep Dark United Supporter Zone. And I want to thank Caitlin. And Caitlin has been huge. Only heard from one person in the past 30 days, and that was Caitlin. That's not great. But thank you, Caitlin, for going to Helix, taking the Helix quiz, and getting a queen-size Helix midnight. Caitlin took that quiz at helixsleep.com/sleep. There wouldn't be an ad-supported version of Sleep With Me without people like Caitlin. I'd love to say your name on the show. Take that quiz, helixsleep.com/sleep, and let me know what you got. Thank you so much, Caitlin. You're going to be hearing this message over and over again until I hear from somebody else, because it's people like Caitlin that keep the show free for everybody. Took action, supported a sponsor. But even if you check out the sponsor, it makes a difference. So please do so and let me know about it. Thanks, Caitlin. The second part of Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need right now. There's links to resources where you could get support right now, including international resources. It's also about being a part of a community and positive change, not just saying Black Lives Matter, not just saying stop AAPI hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but taking steps, learning more. Right now, we're a part of the Orlando Park Stop fundraiser for the Trevor Project. You can go to orlandoparkstop.com/charity or use the link in our show notes and support the Orlando Park Stop fundraiser for the Trevor Project. Let me know about it. I already pre-matched $500, but I'm hoping to get more. If you're willing to support at $100 or more, let me know. I've got pressed pennies from Ray. I'll send you some of Ray's pressed pennies as well as a thank you video, a fun one that we recorded at the restaurant that we did the episode, Pizza Rizzo. So support that, orlandoparkstop.com/charity, and let me know about it. Oh, Mystery Bard, there's a lot of people who help out on the show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, get your sleep phones, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. Use Sleep With Me for $5 off your order. And what do you say? We slow it down and get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it as a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, thoughts on your mind, thoughts, so things you're thinking about, thoughts, feelings, so anything you're feeling physically or emotionally or that's coming up for you. So thoughts, feelings, like emotions, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature or routine. Maybe you're traveling, you have someone visiting, you have something coming up, or you're dealing with something. Whatever it is that's keeping you awake, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff so that you could fall asleep. And the reason I make the show is twofold. One, I know how it feels in the deep dark night, and there's hundreds of thousands of people listening right now that know how it feels in the deep dark night. And we might not know exactly what you're going through, but we can relate to some of those feelings, right? And there probably is somebody out there that is going through something similar, and it might not feel that way to you, but we can relate to some of those feelings. Or maybe we can't, but we're experiencing something similar or something like at least, yeah, I mean, I can't say I know exactly what you're going through, but I can tell you my experience is when I can't sleep, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, and waking up early sucks. It's not great, and it makes my life a lot tougher. And it feels a certain way, especially in the middle of the night, or not even the middle of the night when I try to go to bed on time. And then, those have strong feelings and thoughts for me associated with them. So that's one of the reasons I make the show, because that's how it feels for me. And if that's how it feels for you or in any kind of similar range, I want to be able to help. But I also want to be able to help for a more important reason, which is you. You deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place you could rest, where you could get comfortable, where you could get the rest you need and you deserve, a place of respite, bedtime you don't dread. Because if you're getting the sleep you need and you deserve, your life is going to be more manageable. You could be even out there flourishing. And that's important because that means our world's a better place. If your world is a better place, our world's a better place. It's true. So that's important. And the way I make the show, first, I have this safe place. I try to smooth it. I try to pat it. I try to rub it down. Then I send my voice across the deep, dark night here. I use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones. Oh, so creaky are my dulcet tones. Pointless meanders. Superfluous tangents. So all that means is like I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to get mixed up. Then I'm going to go on a tangent. Then I'll forget what I was talking about. Then I'll say, wait a second, is that like I don't know, for some reason, I'm not kidding. What popped in my brain just now is the word Pop-Tarts, which I think the generalized term is toaster pastries, maybe. Is that what they're called? But that just popped in my head. I was like, I wonder what's going to pop in my head next. Pop-Tarts popped in my head. First of all, I don't know what year it was invented, but holy cow. I mean, I don't want to go, well, I'm going to go on a tangent about Pop-Tarts I didn't expect to go on. But and here's a tangent within a tangent. So maybe a couple years into making the podcast, there was a podcast called Startup. It was about making a podcast company. And it was kind of like one part marketing, one part storytelling about a podcast company, Gimlet. And they had an episode about coming up with the name Gimlet and paying these companies, or who would you even call, pay to come up with those names. Now, I don't know if historically Don Draper fits into any of this, but I would say, holy think tank, Pop-Tart is such a, it seems like the kind of thing, Don Draper was a character on a TV show called Mad Men about advertising, but more of like a drama, soap opera. I say that in a positive way, not a negative way, but Don Draper was kind of like part of his character, flawed character, or a character with flaws. Yeah, a character with flaws. A flawed character means something else maybe. But Don Draper was an advertising genius. Fictional. Yeah, I get it. I do have, but I'm just saying there's a real person or group of people more likely that came up with the term Pop-Tart. And I don't want to say it's the greatest because it's not, it is kind of ubiquitous. No one's going to say, can you throw a generic toaster pastry in the toaster for me? And they're not that popular. I mean, I'm not going to get into, this isn't the podcast about Pop-Tart criticism or something, but just the idea that it Pop-Tart, because I don't have a toaster, I have a toaster oven. But when your toaster pops stuff up, a cooked tart that pops up, that's like, I guess I'm dumbfounded in some sense because that's one of the greatest, because it covers, it has the pop, right? So it has something tangible It describes it describes a sound, but it describes a physical motion. It describes a feeling, and then a tart, which I don't think it actually is a tart. I mean, I guess something that has fruit filling, you could say. Technically, anything with fruit filling is considered a tart. I say, oh boy, okay, thanks. Are you don't make the Pop-Tart criticism cast. You make the criticism of the critics of Pop-Tart. You're the tart critic. Oh, baked goods. Okay. Are all tarts baked? Are there any fried tarts out there? Part of me doesn't. Are you sure Pop-Tarts are baked? I think they're made with a replicator. Oh boy, I'm way up. But that's such a good brand. What does it have to do with anything? Oh, that's a superfluous tangent where I go off topic by accident. It just popped in my brain, and then we popped off topic. But really, I just want to send some applause. There's probably here's the best part about podcasts in general. Look, there's got to be I bet you there's about 14 history of podcasts or history of Pop-Tart episodes in the million plus podcasts that exist. And there's probably one or two of them that are amazing. I mean, I'm looking for specifically the history of the name Pop-Tart because I want to give those people credit. I mean, I'll forget all this, but, I wish in a perfect world, I mean, there'd be a Pop-Tart day in the parade. They would have their own float. I guess at this point, I'm guessing that Pop-Tarts are like in the 20, I don't know. I just get a feel, 1926, but I don't know history of toasters either. But I'm sure maybe there's a book, I mean, I'm not encouraging this, but the tumultuous history of the name Pop-Tart, now that could be a podcast. I don't know if it should be a series. There's I was just thinking, there's Sugar Pops, right? That's not as good. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't know if that's actually a thing. The one with the bear on there. I haven't had that cereal in a long time. Sugar Puffs? Not Sugar Pops. Here's a couple cereals I haven't had in probably a decade. Sugar Puffs or whatever that one is. I'm not sure if it's a bear or frog. And then Honeycomb, which is a cereal that's shaped like a symbol of a honeycomb. Anyway, so I'm going to go off topic, all to take your mind off stuff and keep you company so that you could fall asleep. A couple other things to know. This podcast is not for everybody. You may have already discovered that. If you're already feeling strongly about me or the show, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you is a website full of other sleep podcasts and sleepy audio. But give it a few tries. There's like 100,000 plus people listening right now that said, hey, this podcast is not for me. And then they either came back or they gave it a few tries and said, oh, okay. And I'll try to explain to you what some of this is all based on feedback I've gotten over the past, how many years am I making the show? 10 years or 9 years, 8 years? I think 9 years or 10. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 10 calendar years, almost 10 years. But anyway, so I'll explain all that as part of the intro. But I just want you to know it's normal to not like the show at first. Great news for me, huh? But it just takes some getting used to because it's different. It's a little bit weird. It doesn't follow a normal expected format. Even though we were kind of the first sleep podcast, it doesn't follow the structure you'd expect for a sleep podcast. So here, let me explain all that. This is a podcast you do. This is a couple things that takes getting used to. This is a show you barely listen to, but you could listen. So listening is optional, kind of like looking at something out of focus, or just kind of, there's people that listen to the whole episode, and then there's people that listen to me on a mumble. So you kind of discover as you go along how you want to listen. So that's one thing. This is also a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep. It keeps you company while you fall asleep, which is also different, right? It's It's here, whether you're awake or asleep, to listen to it or not listen to it. And I'll be here to the very end because there's listeners, and maybe you're one of them, that can't sleep. And I'll be here to keep you company, whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're listening or not. Because that's my job. I'm here to keep you company in the deep, dark night. So, okay, so that's two things. Structurally, this also throws people off. Oh, I'm here to keep you company. I'm sorry, regular listeners. I forgot to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sib, your boar bud, your boar burr, your neighbor, your boar, your boar sweetie boar. Yeah, your sweetie boar, your sugar puff boar, your sugar boars, your old sugar boars. Puts me to sleep. So, yeah, I'm old sugar boars here. And here to keep you company and help you fall asleep and take your mind off stuff. But structurally, this also throws people off. So I'll tell you why we structure the show this way and what to expect. Show starts off with a greeting. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, so you feel seen and welcomed in. You say, oh, maybe I could check that podcast out. Then there's a sponsor support and listener support. So the show could be free and come out twice a week. Because there's a lot of work that goes into the podcast, believe it or not. But so that's optional paying for it. And it comes out consistently on a regular basis with a lot of other episodes for you to choose from and see what works for you. So the sponsors and the listener support help us achieve those goals. Then there's support for listeners and that are having a tough time right now, and support for communities around the show. Then there's the intro, which is separate from the support. And the intro lasts like 15 plus minutes, sometimes less, sometimes a lot of times more, always, never, very rarely exactly 15 minutes. And the intro introduces the podcast to new listeners, but kind of in an unsuccessful way because it's not very efficient. But as regular listeners know, the intro is different every time, so you can't get used to it. But it's also familiar. So you feel, okay, Scoots is going to, I don't know if I talked about Pop-Tarts before. I mean, I talked about grape nuts probably 5 or 6 times. I don't really have any good Pop-Tart stories. But like the most recent Pop-Tart story I have is like I was at a retreat and someone brought up Pop-Tarts that I had just met. And he said, you know what I could go for right now? It's a Pop-Tart. I said, I have some in my car because we're on a camping style retreat. And it was more awkward. I thought it was going to be, I said, here, let me go grab them for you. He said, no, please don't. I said, no. You want a Pop-Tart? You got it. It wasn't a traditional Pop-Tart, though. It was a brown sugar one. But anyway, never heard from that person again. I'll text them. I have their number. But what else? Structure the show. Is that what I was supposed to be talking about? Oh, yeah. So the intro goes on and on and on. Not just to introduce the podcast in an effective way that's different and familiar, but to ease you into bedtime, to give you some space to wind down in, or ideally to be a part of your wind down routine if you develop one. And as you're getting ready for bed, or as you're in bed getting comfortable, or as you're doing some other chill activity, you're listening to the show and you're transitioning towards being asleep. And that's just been what's been shown to work, and it's what's worked for me and a lot of other listeners. But not every listener does it. Some listeners fall asleep fast. 2 or 3% of people skip the show, and then a few thousand people listen to story-only episodes. So you could kind of see how it goes and just kind of experiment, right? So that's one thing about the structure of the show. What else? So that's what the intro does. Eases you into bedtime. Then there's sponsor support and listener support between the intro and the story. Again, just so the show can be paying for it can be optional, and it'll be there on a regular, consistent basis for you with a lot of variety out there. And then there's a story. Tonight it'll be a recap of some trips, a Father Figures Day recap from our friend Ray. So that'll be nice. And then it'll end with some thank yous at the end. So this is structure of the show. That's why I make the show. I'm really glad you're here. I work really hard. I yearn and I strive. I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to be here for you for free twice a week. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive helps you compare direct auto rates from a variety of companies so you can find a great one, even if it's not with them. Quote today at Progressive.com to find a rate that works with your budget. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Hello, everybody. This is your friend Ray. Your neighbor Ray, your Scooter's friend Ray, but I'm your friend. So good to be here in your ears. Now, I have no idea when you're going to be listening to this, but I'm recording this. We just put out a Father Figures Day. Like I said last year, you don't need a father's figure to be a father figure, whatever that may mean to you. And I truly believe that because I'm a father, Scooter has a father, I'm a father figure in his life, or I'd like to be. And usually that means prying open the crate that is, that reveals the outsides, that within another crate is the insides of Scooter that needs to be pried open. But you can't pry it open, I've learned. You have to coax it open and say, oh, don't worry, I'll be over here. I don't need to pry your crates open to get a hold of you. When you're in it, well, don't wait till Scooter's ready either. You don't say, you could say, oh, I'll wait till you're ready. But if you mean that, you'll be in, it'll be forever's a long time to wait. What you do, here's a little tip, probably not great. Scooter and I have different boundaries than him and the people. It's great to, but, for me, I say, did you mention there was some baby booties inside that one crate within your heart? I'm sorry. No, I guess I wouldn't even say that. I'd say, Scooter, did you ever say you had a baby booty before? And then we would laugh and he would say, oh, I don't know. How's it look now? And he'd say, did you just call me booty baby? And I'd say, no, I was talking about baby booties. And then he would just keep laughing. And I'd say, the shoes that you wore as a child, as when you were a baby, and then I'm already in there. A little bit like this podcast, I guess. I should introduce myself. But this podcast is meant to misdirect you, take your mind off stuff, and keep you company. And that's how I'm able to be friends with Scooter, is to misdirect him from himself, get him out of self. And I say, hey, look over here, so let's spend some time in the world. So my name is Ray Perkins. I'm Scooter's neighbor. I've been his neighbor in 2 different locations now. I'm a different age than Scooter. I'm more experienced in life than he is. And, but that's not to brag. It's just other ways I've referred to our age differences people have said, well, I'm not okay with it. And I said, well, it just happens to be that I have more years, on my odometer than Scooter does. I do. Maybe that's a bit, and some people would say, what's an odometer? Which is interesting because odometers are still around, even though they're digital. Maybe they may be mechanical. I don't even know. Odometer says how far your car's gone, just in case you're wondering. Now, I guess if you were saying who's traveled more, if you count pacing, Scooter's odometer probably does have more miles. Because I don't do a lot. I do some walking. I like to walk. I like to talk. So if you did amounts of talking, I would definitely outpace Scooter because he has lots of times he has nothing to say. But if you talk about pacing and walking and traveling, I mean, Scooter may pace enough on one phone call. Okay, so where were we? Oh, so I wanted to talk. This will probably be a 2-parter. Because I don't know if we have enough material from the Father Figures Day trip we just made. So we'll see how this goes. But this is we made another Father's. Now, this was a local journey. So this also goes in Scooter's little Bay Area things to do. And this was all Scooter's planning. And we went out to the Alameda County Fair. And I'll tell you, we had a grand time. The weather happened to be perfect because normally it's in Pleasanton. It could be a little warm there. But this particular day, it was sunny, probably in the 80s. It was just perfect. And Scooter got in for free because it was Father's Day. They didn't have Father Figure Day, unfortunately. So they said, "Sir, you'll have to." And I said, "Well, Scooter bought me a ticket, so don't worry about it. But I am his father figure." But they said, "Oh, you don't have to pay." Then they giggled. You must be a father to someone. And I said, "Well, I have a ticket already. We purchased it online." So we went to the Alameda County Fair. We had wristbands to ride the rides. And it's out in Pleasanton. We drove out there before lunchtime, and it was a nice little drive. I think Scooter wanted to listen to some music, or maybe a podcast. I don't remember now. Maybe we listened to a little Len Testa. I think we did listen to it. Scooter said, "Let's listen to some Len Testa. That's a father." And I said, "Is he a father figure?" And Scooter said, "No, we're closer in age, probably. Within a decade, so probably can't be a father figure. He's more of a contemporary." And I said, "But you sounds like you look up to him like a father figure." And Scooter said, "I look towards Ray. You're the most well-adjusted." He always says, "I'm the most well-adjusted man he's ever met." And I say, I just got back from the chiropractor. And he said, "If the chiropractor is God, then that would be the one who just adjusted you, Ray." And I'm not, I'm no Ted Lasso, if you're listening to Lasso episodes, you did. But I do like to look at life and enjoy it. So enjoying life. So we drove out to Pleasanton. Scooter had already paid for the parking, our wristbands, and our tickets, except for his ticket. Now, holy cow. So we reached the parking. And when you're driving in a car with Scooter, he's a great driver, but he can be, take exception to other people. And there was multiple multi-lane left turns, and Scooter actually navigated in a way. He was trying to guess which lanes went where. He guessed correctly, and so we got really lucky getting in. We avoided a lot of traffic. And then, what a pleasant surprise, when we were in line for parking, they split up everybody, and we got to go where there was shaded parking. Holy cow, what a benefit. And it just happened to be our timing. We really got lucky, so we parked under a tree. We got out, we got in line. Scooter went and double-checked to see if he needed to get a ticket or he just walked in. And already they had people out there helping, saying, "Hey, if this is where you want to be in line, or this is where you want to go get your tickets." So very well done. And Scooter was like, "I'm not sure if you need to you can volunteer or you could get work hours if you work for the county." So he wasn't sure if it was like county employees or volunteers or what it was. So I don't know. But so then we got in there, and Scooter wanted to figure out, and Scooter asked for help. I say, "You're growing up, young man. Maybe you don't need a father figure day," because you had to take your wristband QR code and get it scanned. And Scooter kind of looked around, and there was these things. There was kiosks to buy Well, Scooter was like, "A kiosk can print a wristband nowadays? I don't know." And so he asked someone who had a shirt on that said, "Ask me for help." And she was so helpful. She worked for the, oh boy, I forgot the name. Butler, I think, was the name of the amusement company. But I apologize. Maybe I'll see it on one of my pictures. But Scooter said, "Hey, have this. And she said, "Just go up to the machine, press print wristband, and scan your tickets, and you'll be good to go." So we scanned our tickets. Now, Scooter got a combo wristband, which I think was only one, which meant that you could go on all the midway type rides. But also, and this was so impressive, they have like a chairlift, they call it a sky ride, that traverses the fair. And it was definitely the highlight, the most other than the Universal Studios Hollywood tour. It was absolutely the most, and the gondolas at Disney, what are they called? The Skyway, the Skyliner. In some sense, this was more relaxing because it was open air. So it was more like, so I'll describe that to you, because so we went in, we kind of scoped around. And then Scooter's little one, who's not so little anymore, said, why don't we go on the sky ride and see where it goes? And this was a permanent attraction. Now, I don't know how often it runs, but it was very, very, very well maintained. So I don't know if they take these cars off or they just refurbished it, but it was immaculate. And, we did go on the second day of the fair, but the entire fair was immaculate. And I do have to say that even though Scooter was into going, he said, well, the last time I was here, he goes, I don't think I overindulged, but he goes, I was under the stress of that's lifestyle, Ray. And I can remember being here and wanting, to overindulge, but I was, hosting and maybe, he said, and, trying to manage those desires. And so he did say he had a forlorn feeling, but he said, this is the nice thing is I get to reintroduce myself to the fair as a sober man. And I was he said, and he's honest. He said, if he wasn't enjoying it, he would have told me at least. And he said, well, boy, he said there was only one or two moments where he said, oh, and I remember walking here and being grouchy or, wanting like 10 more drinks or whatever it was. So, okay, so we got there, we got on this Skyway, which is basically like a very nice chairlift at a ski resort. Permanent, not one of the ones you see, and not like a wooden one, I'm talking chairlift quality. That's why I'm pointing this out only because, there's fairs and theme parks where you take a sky ride, and it's a little, this one was sturdier than I've ever seen. And you could take it in a full loop or you could take it in one direction as transportation. So we took it in one direction. I would assume we were headed east across the fairgrounds, and we got to see a lot of the food places, and we started to plot out the things we wanted, which was ice cream, which we did not get, spoiler, deep fried foods, and, what else do we want to eat? And so Scooter's young one said, I want some curly fries. And at this time of day, it was very calm. So it wasn't busy. There weren't very many lines. And so we took it one way, and you just told the attendant as you got close that you wanted to get off, and then they let you off. And we got there, and we were kind of in the kids section of there was a couple different sections of the Midway or amusement rides. And this was the kids section. And so I'm not sure of the order of things. I guess what we did was we went on the super slide 2 or 3 times. I think 3 times. And once again, very impressive. The super slide was not worn down. It was multicolored, each slide. There was a worker at the top and a worker at the bottom handing out the burlap sacks and then helping you get in your burlap sack. So again, I would say for amusement park, a temporary installation, 5 out of 5. Then we went, so I guess we went twice on the super slide, then once on the kids' Ferris wheel, which was still a nice little Ferris wheel. Then we did the super slide again. Then we got Scooter's daughter and I, we split a curly fries and a corn dog, and we got a soda cup. Now, they didn't have Coke Zero, so it was Pepsi products, but it was a very syrupy, in a good way, Pepsi, and it was Father's Day. So Scooter said, well, it's Father's Day. Might as well enjoy it. And he said, this is one of the best Pepsis I've ever had because it was like the mix was really well done. Then we walked around for a bit. We walked by, of course, Scooter used the restroom. We walked by. They have horse racing. Like we didn't go in there, but Scooter was like, okay. Then we walked through some of the art. What else did we do over there? We looked at some of the other foods. And Scooter said, well, I'm not exactly sure what I want. So let's walk through the art. There was some nice gardens, even like a themed garden competition. And all of it was around like Hollywood movies and awards shows. And I think that was it. Then we got lunch for Scooter because Scooter had not had, and Scooter got a gyro. Oh, because he wanted to look at the pizza. There was a pizza place, but then he saw it. He said, I don't think it's, and he got a gyro and a deep fried Twinkie on a stick that we all split. And he said the gyro was very good. And then the Twinkie on the stick was also very good. We all shared that. It was powdered sugar and a little chocolate sauce on it. It was delicious. And it split between the three of us, a nice little treat. Then I believe we took the Skyline or the Sky Ride back. We did it towards the main midway. And I don't think we did anything at first. I think we went on, so we went on the midway and we were scouting out the rides. And there was one of those swing rides. It's very similar to the one we went on last Father's Day or 2 Father's Days ago. Not that tall. But the same idea, like a more thrilling swing ride than the normal swing ride. Now, here's the thing. Scooter said, no. After he said, yeah, I'll go on it. But he said there was something about the motion that made him not feel good. It wasn't the height or anything like that. It was just, he said, no more spinning rides for me, which he had to retract. So we went on that. And then did we go right to... I guess the next thing we went on, even though Scooter had said no more, was we went on a scrambler. And he said, remember the scrambler at Sylvan Beach was indoors in the dark with strobe lights and movie projectors. And this scrambler was outside, but Scooter said, at first we were laughing because it didn't spin in a way that affected him. But it was like... he was on the inside or the outside, so all of our weights were pressing against him the whole time. And then the ride was extended, so he said, okay, this is about 2 minutes too long for my enjoyments. But again, sometimes Scooter's always moving to the next thing, Then we went on a carousel, a merry-go-round, and that was great. After that, we went through a couple of the shopping buildings, and they were, it was nothing, there was like people selling spices, knickknacks, mattresses, hot tubs, and cooking stuff. So we didn't it wasn't as much infomercial stuff, so we just made a quick pass through a couple of those buildings. There was 2 of those buildings. Then we headed back to the Midway. And I'm trying to think, we went on the Dock ride, which was, we went on that. And we ended up going on it twice. And it was an old school pretzel style ride, like Scooter talks about. So very simple, 1 car, all metal. Goes on a track. There's, a couple gimmicks in there that light up and make loud noise. The doors really bang. That was one thing that stuck out to us. Was like the doors on the way in and on the way out really helped set the mood because they made the doors really clangy. Overall, not all the effects were working, but it was fun to just go on an old-fashioned dock ride. And there was a couple surprises the first time we went through, but, so then we went on that ride. Now I'm losing track of the order of things, but we went, on the big Ferris wheel, which they said was the largest portable Ferris wheel in North America. I know we went on that. Then we went on Scooter, bumper cars named Scooter. That was fun. We went on a flume ride. We went on the dork ride again. And then we started going in fun houses. And we went in, there was a fun house with a mirror maze. There was a 3-story one. Both those had slides. Then we went on the running mouse roller coaster, which was nice. It had a couple of good dips. We were saying wee, wee, wee. Then we went around the back off the Midway. We looked at the agricultural exhibits, and they had a model train exhibit, and Scooter said, I forgot, do they have this at all county fairs and state fairs? And it seems like a 24/7 building dedicated to this, and they had 2 different gauges on each side, and people running the trains and enjoying it, and just seemed really nice. And again, a thing that's kind of, people are keeping in business, but it used to be a little bit more widespread, at least the model stores, and train stores, and now there are not as many around. Then we went and looked at an exhibit for Pirates at Emerson, which Scooter had forgot his daughter has never been to. That's for trick-or-treating style thing. Then we went back to the Midway at this point and rode the flume and went in the dark ride and one or 2 more fun houses. And then I think we called it a day. I'm trying to think of anything else. I have the schedule here, so I'll look at the schedule. We did not do any scheduled activities. But this, if you go next year, the Alameda County Fair, it usually runs for 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see, they had dog agility at the Ivy Glen. Rides opened at 11 a.m. Pony rides at the Ag Venture Park. Great American Petting Zoo. We did not see this. Bugology. Puzzle Mania. Power Station. Demonstration Lace Museum. Holy cow, I'm sweating just reading that. That was Building C. I guess I should have read this. Wood carving, Building O. Rock painting, Building O. Out at the fair, that was 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Safeway Grandstand stage. Open Dairy Goat Show and Milking Demos. Horse Racing Seminar. Cooking demonstration, Roy Baza, that was at the Safeway Grand Stage. Horse racing, went from 12:45 to 6 o'clock. The Alaskan Racing Pigs, that was one thing Scooter remembered from the last time he went there. Story time. That is at the Safeway stage with Londa Plenty. Another cooking demonstration, Geo Design with Fondant. The Cutest Show on Earth, the Cervantes Band, Comedy Magic with Jeff Martin, Kids Tractor Pull, Mango and Dango, cooking demonstration, Pee-wee Stampede, Queer Tycho, that was at the Safeway Grand Stage. Roberto the Magnificent, Professor Smart's Science Show. Kelly Sayers FMX. Keith Sayers, sorry. Another cooking. Slim and Curly. Racing Pigs, Cutest Show. King Queen, that was at 4 p.m. More Comedy Magic, Tractor Pull, Duly Noted Dueling Pianos, Glam Show, Nightly Movie, Frozen at the Concert Lawn. 7 p.m. there was, I guess, a medieval stunt show. That's interesting. We didn't see that. We had left by then. And it was actually getting busy. We left about 4 p.m., and it seemed like there was a lot of people coming in. Elevation, a U2 tribute band, that was at 8 p.m. So that could have been a good way to spend your evening. Go to the stunt show and then to the, or even just listen to the U2 tribute band. And, there was another medieval stunt show at 8:30. So, and then a hypnotist, Tina Marie, and a drone show at 9:30 p.m. So that was a day at Alameda County Fair, and we'll be back with another day that we spent, the three of us, not to celebrate Father's Day, but just to celebrate the spirit of summer. So I'll be right back with another episode of Ray. Thanks, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Ray. As I said, I'd be right back, and I'm here. And this was not on Father Figure Day, but we made a trip, a few of us, so Scooter, his daughter, and I, to Six Flags, a Six Flags park. Now, it's been quite a few years since we've been to Six Flags. And now this particular one, Scooter's daughter had never been to, and it had been a long time since Scooter had been there. And Scooter, not since Scooter changed his life had he ever been there and his choices that he makes. Even though he said, the problem with Six Flags is that, well, anyway, he said, Ray, last time I was here, I think I was just grouchy saying, oh boy, I can't, so it was a nice trip. Now, last time we went to Six Flags, we went to Six Flags Magic Mountain there. I believe it was in 2019. It does not seem like it was 3 years ago, but I believe it or not, and I think it was right around this time of year. I'm almost positive. We went to Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now, Scooter really prepared for this because it just happened. His daughter is very busy with her summer activities. And he's been watching the schedule. He said, oh, boy, this Thursday and Friday are open. Maybe we could go on a trip. He said, maybe we could go to Las Vegas and see a show. But with travel, when I'm recording this, it was just cost prohibitive, the flying. When normally it would be, you could go there on a lark. You'd say, okay, yeah, for $49 or $100 round trip, I'll go there, go to a show, stay a night or two, and come home. But that was not in the cards. So then Scooter said, well, maybe we'll go away for a night. But then he was also dog sitting. So then that option, okay, said, okay, well, now I'm dog sitting. And so he said, maybe we'll go to Six Flags. And this is where your first decision-making point comes up. It may take all our time to talk about it. And we talked about it, I think, last time. Now, the last time we went to Six Flags, it was part of a combination ticket we bought from another company. That was one of these Visit Los Angeles tickets where you could go to about over a 5-day thing. You could go, because we went to Knott's Berry Farm on that ticket. I believe we went to Universal and we went to Magic Mountain, and then Sophia went to some other LA area things. And so now Six Flags has been going through some changes. And not everybody's happy about it. And I don't follow it too much because Scooter and I were trying to stay out of that kind of stuff. But we said, okay. And in the past, they were constantly trying to upgrade you to a season pass or an annual pass. And I think they tried out membership, which was the same as an annual pass, but you paid monthly. And even when we were buying it, they were trying, I think even within the 7-day period, they reintroduced membership. But by the time we went to go buy our pass again, it was gone from the website. And I believe like a lot of other companies are trying to figure out the direction. And we've seen, say, one company in particular say, well, we're just going to, we're going to get as much as we can while we can, because we know we have these dedicated customers that love our park. And so we're going to, add on wherever we can. And then you have another theme park, which has raised the prices, but they say, well, we're more like, we want annual pass holders, and we will give you discounts and stuff. But those are in Orlando, where Six Flags is more of a local amusement park, not quite a theme park, no offense. And so when Scooter was trying to buy it, he was like, well, should we buy a 1-day pass? And then he said, well, his daughter might want to go back to the park with the friends. And they said, well, we should go to Magic Mountain again soon. And then Six Flags also has a water park by us in a separate location from the theme park. And so Scooter was like, okay. And then parking is $40. So let me just tell you that right up front, because Scooter actually thought it was less. So when we got there and saw how much parking was, what we did, our choice was underlined with a good choice. And, of course, there's a funny thing in here. And, of course, there's, like, Scooter getting hot under the collar, which is also always funny for listeners. So Scooter was like, well, okay, so, and I'll lay out the numbers for you, but they're probably not accurate. And plus you have taxes and fees, but actually everything has taxes and fees. So don't worry about the taxes and fees. But just assume Ray's only within a $20 or $30 correct, okay? So we'll get to the price of the annual passes, or the season pass, by the way, not an annual pass. Don't make a pass out of you and me, you know what I'm saying? But so Scooter was looking, and then he said, okay, so here's the thing. He said, okay, it's like $40 to go to the park for one day. And I will tell you, like, $40, it's worth it. But and we'll talk about a day. But when you say, okay, but then parking is $40. So for one person, it's going to be $80, or for four people, it would be $50. Let's just say that, even though we only had three people, let's just pretend. So you had $50 with parking if you split it evenly. Okay, so then to go to the water park another day is $30, but then you also are paying $10 for parking if you're splitting it four ways. So that's another $40. So then you're at $90. Now, we didn't actually discuss this ahead of time, but this splitting the parking four ways actually helps make a reasonable analysis. So now you're at $90. Now, if you go to Magic Mountain one time, I believe it's a little bit more. So it's like $50. And then you did $10 for parking. So you had $60. So then you had $150. And actually, that already gets us to the break-even point on paper, because that's what initially they were selling the season pass for $140 or $150, Scooter said, $149 maybe. But then Scooter was drinking one of his Coke Zeros, and he happened to look at the can, and it said, go to sixflags.com/Coke. And he had heard there was no more one-day discounts. And that's, again, what they're going away from. Six Flags was trying to raise the price and make it a more premium experience. And I will say, no offense, but I don't know if you understand. If you're running Six Flags, do you understand you're running Six Flags? Because you can't say it's a premium, you're raising the price to create a premium experience. That just doesn't work. Now, I will say it was a great experience. Was it a premium experience? No. But we'll say it right now. The employees at Six Flags Vallejo, other than some communication issues that was not their fault, like they didn't have the correct information, the employees there were beyond excellent, as good as the employees at Wikiwachi. Well, maybe not as good. Like those employees at Wikiwachi, I'd say were better just because they overextended themselves to make you feel welcome. But Six Flags employees at Vallejo were a step above competent. And nowadays, that's asking a lot, really. And they were all very helpful, and I cannot think of a time other than something we'll talk about, which, again, was nobody's fault, was an excellent experience. So, okay, so we're at the break-even point. But so when Scooter went to the Coke link, now, again, Scooter does not read everything, so I'm going to assume that the fault lies with Scooter. There was a $10 or $20 discount on the annual pass. Or the season pass. Now, Scooter thought he was buying an annual pass. It said it comes with a soda cup that he thought was good for the whole season for free soda. So then it was over. The deal was, he was like, I'm already in checkout, Ray. But again, it ended up, well, we'll get to it. So maybe this will be less about the park. No, we'll get to everything, I think. So we made the deal, and it came with like 1 day of dining, the soda cup, discounts on things, and again, entry to the parks until the end of this year. Now, that Scooter said, oh boy, but he said, I guess I should have read it, and that makes sense, because when he found out he had a seasonal pass and not an annual pass. But when he ran the numbers, he said, okay, we just got to go to Magic Mountain and the water park, and we'll break even, which we will do probably by the end of the year. Now, it doesn't include the Halloween parties, so that was a cutback they made over the past year. Or 2 years or whatever. Okay, so we drive to the park, lovely drive. The park opened at 11 a.m., I believe. Yes, because we left. Now, we were running late, so we were scheduled to arrive at about 5 after. So we didn't get there for rope drop, but it turns out we did not need to. The park, the whole day was not crowded at all. I mean, there was some waiting in line. But it was not crowded. The weather was magnificent. It was, like usually Vallejo is a very warm area in the summertime, but it was sunny, but only in the 80s. So perfect theme parking day. And for a large portion of the day, there was a breeze. Okay, so we got to the park. We had no problem parking, other than Scooter was a little grouchy that his daughter and I couldn't pull up our passes to help him park. But when we found out it was $40 to park, we were already in a good mood. And because it wasn't busy, we didn't get, there's preferred parking, but there's regular parking. But the first round of people, you park in covered parking, covered by solar panels. So not only are you parking your car, you're parking it in partial shade. So that was something we were grateful for. Then we walked to the park, and it was a nice little walk, and there was a lake there or a retention basin. And it wasn't even too busy walking. You know, there was a lot of people starting the day, but not anything like any of the other parks we've been to. And then we got to the park. We got in, no problem, just a little bit of a wait. It was very well run. We had to have our pictures taken because we had the annual passes. We got our cards. And then there was a couple, we were reading about the top rides to ride. Now, when we walked there, we saw that not all the rides were operating. We were prepared for that, or Scooter was. So Scooter said, okay, well, not all the rides are going to be running. We have this pass, so we don't have to worry about it. We could always come back. We can actually leave the park whenever we want. If you were paying a one-day pass, I still think you would get about $50 of value. But again, it would be a little bit disappointing because a large number of the rides were not operating. But one of the best rides which was the first one we went on, which we walked over, was the Joker. And the Joker is one of these, I think it's an Intamin or whatever. It's a wooden coaster with metal train tracks on it now. And it still uses a similar wooden coaster car, but it is the smoothest experience ever. And this is a little bit smaller of a wooden coaster, but you still get that experience. If you haven't been on one of these hybrid coasters and you like going on them, I cannot encourage you to go seek out at whatever park is close that has one of these to go on it, because it is. So we went on the Joker. Let's see, we got in line 11:30. Scooter put 5 stars again. We were in line again for the Joker at 11:55. Now this was one of the longest lines. Now, the Joker was being operated, and usually at the other hybrid coaster, Magic Mountain, it's the same way. Very entertaining person running the dispatch, and very smooth operation as far as the loading and unloading. And both times we rode all the way. One time we were in the last 2 cars, and then the next time we were in the last two car. The second from the back and the third from the back. And such a great, solar shade, long walk. 11:30:55 line again. And again, the line was about, what do we say here? About 20 minutes. And partial shade in the line. Now, after that, we went to kind of figure out where do we get our cups, because Scooter said, I need my soda cup. And we wanted to figure maybe it was time to get some lunch. Now, we were supposed to get these cups that were part of the deal with Coca-Cola, but it was very confusing. So we went into guest relations. Now, they were very polite there, but they said, oh, maybe you have to print a coupon. They didn't know. And Scooter said, no, it says right here you're supposed to give me a cup. And that's when he saw that it was only one day of all-day drinking. But his daughter pointed out, but that was fine. He said, it was more of like, where do we even go? And they said, well, we don't know. Like, what do you mean? And they said, and then we followed the instructions of guest relations to go on the website, create a login, and then go into our coupons. So we said, there's no coupon. It's just the same thing here. It says, you give us a cup. And again, Scooter was very calm. Because he said he was just like, because they were polite, they were just like, we don't understand, which is unfortunate for guest relations. And Scooter was a little frustrated because he said, wouldn't it have been easier to just say, okay, here's 3 cups, go because there was 3 people at guest relations, and between the 3 of them, even they were having conflicting solutions, none of which were expedient. And finally, it was decided to pass it on. No, I think that was just because they said, I don't know. They said, go to the soda place out front here and have them scan your pass and see what happens. I think they'll just give you a cup there. And then we did that, and the person there working at the soda stand there was again, a great employee, very helpful. But again, he had to kind of scan the passes quite a few times to get it to work, and then finally he did. And so we got our cups. Scooter had a Coke Zero. And then we had lunch. We had some chicken tenders at another stand and fries, which, again, was included with $150. And it was probably $15. And, again, the sodas, if you count the sodas we drank during the day, $10. So then you're at $25. So already for the day, we're at $40, $50, $75 of value. Now, that was it for the dining plan. You only get one day, unless you pay more. And I heard that they had cutbacks. Oh, and again, then later we had Dippin' Dots. So now we're at $80. So we're in pretty good shape. Okay, so to go back, so we had the chicken tenders and fries were very good. They give you a lot of fries, even though Scooter said, I wish there would have been a salad option. But it was only mac and cheese and chips of fries. So, but it is Six Flags. So I said, Scooter, enjoy your fries. It's your day to enjoy them. And so then we had that, and we had a nice table in the shade, and we were people watching, and it was so calm. Oh, it was nice. We had a long lunch because there was no rush. And I was impressed because even Scooter was in no rush. And again, okay, but the other thing was, so this was in the DC universe where the Joker ride was. And the other top ride there on that side of the park is Superman. Now, Superman was closed. There was also a coaster called Batman that looked like, I don't know about it. That one was also closed. Then there was a Wonder Woman lasso ride. That was a spinning ride. Then I'm not sure we would have gone on anyway, but that was like open, then closed, and open, then closed. So again, and then there was a ride called The Flash, which I assume was there because that's the DC area. That was also closed. And actually on the internet, they said that'll probably not be open, no chance. But the internet did say, expect a lot of the rides to be closed. They're short-staffed, and it's not busy. But again, those 2 rides on the Joker, if it was like a park where you paid, I would rate those at $10. Like that was like one of the best coasters. I mean, not as good as Magic Mountain, but I mean that's one of the few destination coasters in the world. Costa Parks. So, and then it was just relaxing. And the park, again, was very clean. Bathrooms were clean. So Ray's not here to complain, but just to say, temper your expectations. And again, it was because we were there with the pass, Scooter stayed calm instead of looking at it as a zero-sum situation. He said, well, just come back and go on that ride. And we were all on board. We said, yeah, we'll just come back and go on that ride. Okay, so next what happened was after we had our long lunch, Scooter's daughter wanted an icy. Now, that was another thing, was like, your soda cup does not get you ices. They charge $5. But so, whatever. We had one icy. Or she had it. And then I think we just started walking around, and we ended up, Scooter was going to get a soda, but then, I have my notes here. Guest relations confusing in cups, chicken tenders and fries, soda tea splitter. I don't know what that means. 124, we went on a kid's coaster, or like a family coaster. Not a baby coaster, but, something like your first roller coaster type coaster. And we were having fun. It banged around a lot from side to side, like kind of like Big Thunder Mountain or something. But it was like a little bit more simpler than that. So we went on that. Then we went on, that was at, what did I say, 1:24 p.m. Then we went on a tall... Now, this is a return from just the Father's Day thing. We went on 137. We went on the Sky Cheerer, which, again, was a tall swing ride, similar to the one we went to on last Father's Day and this Father's Day. But these swings were like the first Father's Day, where they're free swinging. And it was only Sophia that noted that at the county fair, they were fixed. They weren't on... chains. They were like in some other thing. And so Scooter said, maybe it'll be less like dizzying for me, which it turned out to be true. It did take a while to load that ride, which again would have been frustrating if we were in a hurry, but we were not. So we went on that ride. And then that was 137. Then at 149, and then this is the other high, whatever, it was a floorless coaster called The Woman You Look At That You Turn to Stone. Long name for a roller coaster. Don't look in her eyes, she'll turn you to stone coaster. But this is one of the other three, I think one of the other ones that you got to go on it. And it was a floorless coaster. We only went on it once, even though there was no ride. And I think it was only because of our next experience. But so no line, walked right on that coaster, or waited like one or two trains. And again, everybody running it, very efficient, having fun. And easy dispatch, great ride. I don't know why we didn't go on it twice. Well, I do know why. So then right across from there is a coaster called KONG. And here's the thing, it's a simple thing. Don't go on that coaster ever. If you're hearing this, you might say, well, Ray, no, don't go on it. Trust me, just don't go on it. And even after we went on it, we said to ourselves, you hear that on a podcast. Oh, that coaster is too, but like, it's not a fun experience, but you still go on. Just don't go on it. It had a line. Now, it wasn't a terrible line, but I think they were only running one train, and that was why the line was there. But it was just not, it was a hanging coaster, and it was just not fun. It was very vibration. Like literally all of us, as soon as it left the station, even when people were getting off, we heard them joking, like, it was just, don't go on KONG, plain and simple. You don't do it. Like, and we said we could just stay here and tell people, don't go on this ride. Do yourself a favor. Not worth your time. But they probably wouldn't listen, understandably. So we did not go on the woman that looks at us like stone again, just because we were kind of like, what? Then we made a restroom stop. We had made Scooter had made 2 other stops, or 3 other stops, by the way, just in case you're keeping score at home. Scooter also refilled his soda at that point. And again, this was later in the day, but probably now, Scooter lost his pen on Costa. He thinks, like, just at the beginning of it, the woman who you stare into her eyes, he thinks he lost it on the lift hill, his pen. So we don't have any more notes. I did take some pictures, but I think I'll use the pictures in my mind anyway. So Scooter got a soda. Then we used the restrooms. I found Scooter sitting on a bench drinking his soda. We took a little break on the bench and found out from Sophia that she was observing that there was people on dates there that were probably in her age range. So they were on a date with the parents were also there. And then there was a number of parents or grandparents we saw throughout the park who stationed themselves in the shade and were like reading a book or doing something, while the other, that were just there as a driver. And we said, oh, that's a nice little idea there. So then what happened next? So then we walked and we said, okay, there's supposed to be some new family ride that's like Chester and Hester's, which Sophia really liked, and Scooter did not. Is general. So we walked to this other part of the park. We did not go to any of the shows. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, it's called. It's had other names, and it's been a non-Six Flags park. But after going on KONG, it kind of brought us down. And then we went over and into this another land of the park. And there was a coaster called Boomerang. And now at Six Flags, this is called something, Zuma or something. And it's a pretty simple one. Just go up, you go down a hill backwards, then you go through a couple loops, and then you go up a hill, and then you go through it again forwards. Or maybe you go forwards, then backwards. And Scooter said he'll never ride that ride again. It gave him tummy troubles because of the loops. But Scooter did talk to people in line there. They talked to him first because the people behind him in line, the gentleman had the same shoes on as Scooter, probably the same shoes, and they were like these trail running shoes. So it was like very obscure. And the person said, hey, we got the same shoes on. And Scooter said, we do. I love them. So that was like a break. I said, I think I just witnessed a breakthrough. And then the gentleman's partner or date or whatever said, what's your favorite ride so far? And Scooter said, Joker. I liked it. We went on it twice. So, wow. I said, who is this man talking to people? But Scooter was not happy with that ride, understandably. There was a little bit of a wait, but not too bad. Then we went on Sidewinder, which again had a little bit of a line, not too bad again. It did not have it wasn't the employee's fault. It was just the design was not efficient for loading. And the thing is, the ride was not worth going on anyway. It was like it was out of box, circular coaster, and it was just too jerky. Like, just don't go. Another one, just don't go on it. Sit on a bench. If someone doesn't believe you, say, okay, I'll be here. I'll wait for you on this bench here. Then we got Dippin' Dots after that. And Scooter, because we had one snack, and originally Scooter was going to have a funnel cake. But his daughter said, maybe I'll have Dippin' Dots. And Scooter said, well, I've never ordered Dippin' Dots. My whole life, it was, when he was a kid, it was Dippin' Dots were premium ice cream. They may have been even called something else, space ice cream or something. And then he developed a resentment towards it where he's like, oh, this is just some sort of trickery. And then he would begrudgingly buy for his daughter, but he would taste hers, but he literally has never had his own Dippin' Dots in his life until this trip. So I was impressed. So we got cookies and cream and a cookie dough. And we split those and kind of took turns, and they were both very good. And Scooter said, wow, this is quite the experience. And so he was happy with the Dippin' Dots. And then I think it was before the Dippin' Dots, we said, well, maybe it's time to go home. And so we departed there. And after that, walked to the car. The walk to the car was a bit much. You can take a bus, though. But we decided instead of waiting for the bus, we would just walk. And we headed home, and we had a great time. And again, it was very not busy there, so that made a big difference. It was a Friday, but it was in the summer school break. And again, I think this is where they're trying to find the pricing to meet the demand. So it was not as packed as you'd think a theme park would be in the summer. But I would not call it a premium experience because, again, you can't call something a premium experience if most of your rides, at least 50% of the rides probably, I'm honestly being we're down, and your shows are only once or twice a day, and a lot of your shops are closed. Now, cleaning-wise, I would say not premium, but I would say employee training, excellent. Other communication from corporate to employees about different promotions, not great. Pricing, it's a standard for this theme park, amusement park era, a little bit higher. They probably have to come back, trying to add on the ices or whatever. But clean park, good employees, and rides not operating. So I'd say, not a premium experience, but exceeded expectations. But also, I'd say exceeded expectations. One, because low crowds, unbelievable weather. If it was really hot or really busy, where there was a line for everything that was over an hour, like I said, 30 minutes to 25 minutes for the Joker. There was longer waits, but that was more due to the loading and the lack of the trains. But that was about the standard wait for a lot of the rides, 20 to 35 minutes for the bigger rides. I'd say, that adds to your score, where if it was really hot, no offense, we would have been like, oh boy, that was not enjoyable. Or if there was longer waits, we would have been like, this is not acceptable. But great job. We had a great time. We were very happy, and we appreciated it. So that's another little adventure with Ray and Scooter. I hope you had fun. Good night, everybody. All right, I want to thank a couple of patrons who recently wrote up their testimonials of why they became patrons or how they feel about it. This is from Tammy. Hi, I'm Tammy, and I struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep. I became a supporter of Sleep With Me because I got hours more sleep since finding the podcast than I would have otherwise, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And what would I do if it went away? Sleeping allows me to function and stay emotionally balanced through the stresses of daily life. I do better at being a person. Thank you, Scooter. And Christina said, I'm Christina. I first started listening to the show because I kept on reading about it in magazines and doctors' offices. I became a patron because I'm a rebel with a cause and I want to help others listen to the show. The podcast makes me laugh sometimes, but it is a great way to get to dreamland. And then Nia says, sleep with me helps me get better sleep. I listen every single night, no matter what it is, part of my sleep routine. And I wanted to support the show as well as get patron benefits. So thanks, Nia, Tammy, and Christina, and also to everybody that supports the show through Patreon or other means or supports our sponsors. That's how we're able to do this twice a week for free. And how I'm able to do it, put all the work that goes in the show, me and everyone else. So thank you so much for believing in paying for a free podcast. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you're not in a position to do so, it's totally cool. Those people allow me to do it for you for free, too, which is important to me. So you're important to me. So thank you so much. And if a great free way to support the show is to spread the word about podcasts or podcasting in general, or take a free trial by one of our sponsors. But just spreading the word about podcasting in general will even help Sleep With Me, just growing podcasting and showing people how to use podcast apps. So thanks so much. And here's some Tuck You In sponsors that have enabled us to grow the free feed. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, this is Scoots tucking you in. If you're hearing this message and you're a patron or you're not a patron, you do not want to be missing out on the subscriber summer. We're putting out a ton of extra content for subscribers as a way of celebrating and trying to find new ways to keep the show going for everybody and keep it free for everybody, which is a bit ironic, but without support, we can't keep the show free for everybody. So that's part of subscriber summer. But if you don't have your patron content set up or you're not a patron, you're missing out on it. And I know that only 1/3 of our patrons listen to the bonus content, and it's so easy to set up. You're already listening to this message in a podcast app. And if you become a patron, you could do this and you could just follow along. It's just 4 simple steps. You take your phone. You already have a podcast app. If you don't already have a podcast app, you use Pocket Cast is a great one, or to just listen to bonus content in exclusively. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron feed, PATRONFEED, and that'll bring you to a page where you log into your Patreon account. Then it'll bring you to a page where it'll say Acast for Patreon. You'll click allow. That's how to connect the bonus content to your podcast app. It'll verify you're a patron, and then it'll bring up a list of podcast apps. Pick your app from the list, or if you downloaded Pocket Casts, pick Pocket Casts from the list. Give it a few minutes to load, because especially if you're a $10 or $20 patron, there's like 2,000 episodes in the feeds, but give it a few minutes to load, and then click follow or subscribe, and you're good to go. So sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron feed, log into your Patreon account, click allow, and pick your podcast app from the list, and you'll be getting all that sweet, sweet summer. And in addition, the rest of the year, we put out tons of bonus content. And $10 and $20 patrons also get all intro episodes. All patrons get story-only episodes, special edition episodes. $10 and $20 patrons get all-night episodes. So don't miss out. You were going to want to be a part of Subscriber Summers. Thanks, everybody.